I escaped the hardest Minecraft world. This structure was naturally spawned into the world, and I got trapped inside it. I was just playing normal Minecraft, and my friend Korean found me, and he took me inside the structure that he made almost impossible to escape and left me. And now I had to find a way to escape. So now I was in the middle of a room standing on one piece of bedrock, and there was a sign in front of me that said freedom was right above. So I had to somehow climb this giant wall and escape. So I jumped from the bedrock platform that I was on, and I saw two rooms. There was a room with the chest all the way at the end, but lava in between me and the chest. And there was another room that just had a lava waterfall and nothing else inside. So I decided to go back to the main room. And in the middle of the room, there was a 3x3 area that was just empty. And there was a sign right next to it that said freedom was up. But I had no idea what the hole in the floor was for. So I did the only thing that I could do, and that was to check out the hall with the chest in it. And right in this hall, there was a hopper, and inside the hopper was 3 bricks. And I had no idea how I was supposed to get all the way to that chest with only 3 bricks, because there were slabs above me, so that meant that I wasn't able to jump. But then I realized that there was a secret hole right next to me. And when I backed up all the way, there was a crafting table. So I opened the crafting table to see what I could craft. And I found out that with the 3 bricks, I could craft 6 brick slabs. So I crafted the brick slabs and I placed them all on top of the lava. And using all of my slabs, I had exactly enough to reach the chest. And inside the chest was 9 stones. But I had no idea what I was supposed to craft with 9 stones. So I checked in my inventory what I was able to craft, and there was nothing that could help me. So I went to the only other room that I could go in, and that was the lava waterfall room. And I decided to right click around to see if there was anything hidden behind it. But when I did, nothing opened or activated. So I went in F5 mode to see what was on the other side. And there was a giant room with water on the other side. So the only way I would be able to survive this is if I ran through and jumped in the water right away. So I stepped back and ran through the lava and jumped in the water. And with 4 hearts, I made it through. And I saw that at the end of the room, there was a chest with a sign that said, a random chest must not be important. So that meant whatever was inside this chest was going to be super important. So I opened it up and there was absolutely nothing inside. And I had no idea what to do because this room was just completely empty. And now there was no way for me to go back to the main room because there was no water on the other side of the lava. Then I decided to break this chest just in case there was something hidden behind it. But there was nothing. I felt like Korean actually defeated me and I was really sad. And you could tell by my live reaction, I am very sad. But when I took a closer look at the water, I found out that there was a hopper inside. And inside the hopper was 2 bone meal and a fire resistance potion. And now with the fire resistance potion, I could go back into the main room. And you could tell by my live reaction, I was so happy. I am so happy. So I splashed this fire resistance potion and ran back through the lava. And then I went to the main room. And I counted that the bedrock wall was at least 13 blocks high. And I only had 10 blocks in total. So I was extremely confused as to what I had to do. And I thought that I must have missed something. So I rechecked the first room we went into and checked to see if there was any hidden hoppers or chests in the lava. But there was nothing. And I even checked the secret hole, but I couldn't see anything new. So then I went back into the lava waterfall and I tried to see if there was any hidden hoppers or chests along the top or the bottom of the lava. And when I did, I found a secret hopper with a moss block inside. And then I went back into the main room to see what I could do with these blocks. But all these blocks combined would still be too short to get to the top of here. So I tried to think what I could do with 9 stone, 1 moss block, and 2 bone meal. But I was extremely confused because I had no idea what I was supposed to do with these items. But then I realized with my stone, I could make more moss blocks. So I placed my 9 stone in the middle of the hole and placed my moss block right next to it. And using my bone meal, I would be able to make more moss blocks and even these moss block carpets. So now I had 10 moss blocks and 5 moss block carpets. Then I used all my blocks to build up all the way to the top of the bedrock wall. And the moss carpets that we got helped us with the last 3 blocks we had to get up. And now I was able to see what was on the other side of the wall. And right in front of me was the exit sign. Freedom was so close. But there was also 3 rooms right underneath me and a staircase going down to them. So I went down the staircase and there was a sign that said 3. And I'm not sure what this meant, but I knew that everything Korean makes always connect together somehow. So I needed 3 of something. Then I went down the staircase and saw a slime block. And I knew the slime block was here for something important. So I jumped down and I grabbed the slime block. And there were 3 rooms. And in the first room, there was a villager with a piece of sand on top of him. So I decided to grab the sand and look at what he wanted to trade. And he wanted 3 moss carpets for a piston. And I had 3 moss carpets, but I wasn't sure if I should do the trade just yet. So I decided to hold off and check what was in the other room. Then I went to the room right next to it and saw a floating piece of sand that was being held up by 1 piece of string in an empty room that led all the way to the void. And in the last room, I saw 1 piece of sand standing on bedrock with a sign next to it that said, you need 3. So that means the sign from the beginning meant that I need 3 sand. But I had no idea how to get this piece of sand. And I also had no idea how to get the other piece of sand. So I did the only thing I could, which was trade my moss carpet for the 1 piston. But still, I had no idea how these items were supposed to help me get the sand. Because if I stacked all these blocks, I would only get 4 4 blocks high, and that wouldn't be enough to get to the sand block. And as I was looking through my inventory, I realized that the chest from before is a trap chest, meaning that it could be used as a redstone signal. And I had a piston with a slime block, so that means I could make my own jump booster and jump to the sand block. So I placed my piston and the slime block and the trap chest right next to it. And then I opened the trap chest and quickly exited out of my inventory. Then I grabbed the sand, and all I needed now was one more piece of sand. So I grabbed all my items and went back into the main room. And I had no idea how any of these items were supposed to help me reach the exit, because even if I got the last piece of sand right here, I would still not have enough blocks to just build up. So that means I probably had to build from the side and parkour over. But to get back to the staircase, I would have to use all my items except for my sand. And sand is a gravity block, so that means if I placed it on the wall, it would just fall down. So I needed to find a way to make sand into a block that doesn't fall. But first, I needed to get the last piece of sand. So I went into the last room with the sand, and I was thinking about placing my slime block and my piston to reach it. But if I did that, they would just fall into the void. But then as I was looking down in the void, I realized that there was a hole right underneath me. And when I hit F5, I realized that that hole had a secret hopper in it. And in that hopper, it had 1 bedrock block, a slot with 8 string, and a slot with 3 string. So I opened my crafting book to see what I could craft. And I could craft white wool. And then I realized what I could do with white wool. If I crafted 2 pieces of white wool and turned them into 3 pieces of carpet, I could place my string and then my wool carpet right on top of it and do the same thing 3 times. And then when I got to the end, I could place the bedrock right underneath the sand and break the sand above it. And then when the sand dropped onto the bedrock, I jumped to the sand and then jumped back. And now I had all 3 sand blocks. But still, I needed a way to turn sand into a block that didn't fall. And then I realized that sand can turn into glass. And all we needed for that was a furnace. So I decided to look around the rooms to see if there was a hidden furnace somewhere. But I had no luck whatsoever. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I saw the villager, and he was looking at me like he was hiding something. So I started punching him because it made me feel good. But as I was hitting him, I realized that he was standing on something. He was standing on a furnace. And I had 2 options: to let him live or... So now I had a way to turn the sand into glass, but I needed something to smelt the sand with. And I was about to use my trap chest, but if I used this, I would have no way of getting back to the staircase. But while I was looking at the staircase, I realized that I can use the sign to smelt my 3 sand. So I placed the slime block in the piston contraption and jumped to the stairs and grabbed the sign. I then went back down and put the sign into the furnace. And 1 sign was able to smelt 1 sand into a piece of glass. So now all I needed was 2 more signs. So I grabbed the piston and slime booster, and I went into the other room to grab the 2nd sign. So I built the slime booster again, and I jumped up to the bedrock and grabbed the sign. And I placed the sign into the furnace, and I got my 2nd piece of glass. But I still needed 1 more sign to smelt my sand into glass. And I tried to think of where I last saw a sign, and then I realized in the first main room, there was a sign that said freedom was up the wall. So I placed the slime booster right next to the stairs and jumped up, broke all the moss, and got all the way to the bottom of the first room and broke the sign that said freedom was up. Then I placed the moss back and climbed to the top of the wall. And now I had the final sign I needed to smelt the last piece of sand. So with the 3 glass, I went back to the stairs and used the slime booster to push me up. Then I placed the glass 4 blocks away from me and jumped onto it and did the same thing 2 more times until I made it to the end. And it led me to a room with ladders going up to my freedom. And just like that, we were able to beat Korean. But the war between me and Korean is not over. Me and Korean are racing in subscribers, and he has always been ahead of us. But we just had a huge boost in subscribers, and we are so close to passing him. So if you enjoyed these videos, subscribe.